たコンセプトムジック。
If you've grown up listening to Western music, J-pop may seem to be an elusive sound that is near impossible to replicate. However, this mostly stems from one thing: the fact that there is a certain sound that is the basis of Western music, but the antithesis of J-pop: blues. While blues set the foundation for rock and roll, and by extension 30 years of Western music, the sounds associated with it are the exact opposite of what makes J-pop. Let's take a listen to the American hit Sweet Child O' Mine by Guns N' Roses. We can see several characteristics of blues here. Most prominent is a guitar technique called bending, in which the guitarist bends the string to raise the pitch of the note, but not in a clean way like just playing a higher note. Bending adds a slight human error that gives it a signature bluesy sound. In addition, we don't stick strictly to the scale. He throws in a few notes outside of the major scale to add something called dissonance to the solo. This dissonance is what gives it the bluesy sound. Let's contrast that with the Japanese solo from the song Heart no Kakaritsu by Blue Drops. It has absolutely none of the blues sound from Sweet Child. No bends, and it stays in scale, giving off a sense of perfect stability known as consonants, the opposite of dissonance. And since we know that dissonance leads to blues and blues is the opposite of J-pop, we can infer that consonance will give us that J-pop sound. But this stability isn't just achieved with the instruments. It can be seen clearly by examining vocals. In Western music, it's not unusual for the singer to add vocal flourishes. Whereas J-pop has the vocals sticking to a melody perfectly. This prevents any unintended dissonance and makes the voice just another instrument, which is made literal by Vocaloid, a singing synthesizer that allows completely synthetic vocals that can be programmed with a melody. Back to instruments. I want you to listen to these two melodies and see which one sounds closer to J-pop. Chances are you thought the second. But why is that? Both stayed in the major scale, so theoretically both should be equally stable. The answer comes in the form of pitch ratios. Simply put, how high an interval is compared to the root. The key to stability is understanding that the brain naturally hates math, so we find intervals with simpler ratios more pleasing and therefore more consonant. The first melody used a root, a major seventh, and the major third, whereas the second replaced the major third with a perfect fifth. Looking at the chart, we can see a perfect fifth is the simplest and most stable note after the root and the octave, so it makes sense that it would be good for J-pop. But then we come to another problem. If we're going for simple ratios, then how does the major seventh work so well? Answer: resolution. If you run up the major scale, stopping at the major seventh, it leaves you wanting resolution. That resolution is the root note, and our brains love it. So when we add it to our melody and follow it with the root, the split second of instability it gives is outweighed by how it boosts the stability of the root, giving a much happier feel. And to me, that happiness is the defining characteristic of J-pop. Whether it's upfront, unwavering happiness, I want you, I need you, I need or an underlying happiness topped by a sadder song. It's always there, and that to me is the magic of J-pop. Thanks for watching.